Hi everybody, it's meteorologist Joe Cioffi here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show. Fios 1 News Long Island and Fios 1 News New Jersey is what I do, and Joe Rayo is Fios 1 News Hudson Valley, and he'll be in momentarily. We are kind of getting ready for the holiday weekend. I know it's only Tuesday, but if you are fortunate enough that you are taking maybe a couple of extra days and decided to perhaps pad the holiday weekend with a couple of days, say tomorrow, Thursday, or Friday, you did good, because the next 4 days look terrific. This will be, I think, one of the longest stretches of nice weather we've had in quite some time. I don't think we've had 4 days in a row of great weather this spring, unless I'm forgetting. I would think if we did have it, I'd probably remember, because it would have been an absolutely rare event indeed. But we're going to see improvement on Wednesday. We'll probably start off with some morning clouds, much like we did over the weekend. I believe it was on Sunday. And then fairly quickly go over to some sunshine, and then mostly sunny skies by afternoon. Richard Thomason, good to see you here. Gert Hall is here. Brooke Sotil. My Aunt Alicia is on. Janet Forbes done. Peter Allen is frightened, as he always tends to be. I don't know why. Maybe he's too busy playing the piano. David Schwartz, Ralph Corello, Jason Schaefer here too, so it's good. Usual. William Huber, Stephen Franco, Timothy Veltman, who's usually on my YouTube channel, Joe.
My friend Dennis Cassie is on.
Yep, so everybody's here. Donna Fridella Carrigan is on too. Good. Hi, Donna. So we're going to get things underway. Just was telling the folks, we've got 4 days. The next 4 days look great here. And I can't remember the last time we had a 4-day stretch of lots of sunshine.
As I just said with Mike Gilliam over at our Fios Lower Hudson Valley report, the only thing wrong with this is that tomorrow is a Wednesday. It should really tomorrow should be Friday.
Right, because then that would take us right through the weekend.
Sunday, Monday, that would be fantastic. Not to say that we're not going to go into the weekend with lousy weather. In fact, Friday, if you have the day off, it's getaway day, and Saturday looks every bit like the beach day that so many have been yearning for since last summer.
I have to acknowledge, Mikey B is on. Mikey Barbagallo, I haven't seen you in ages. I hope everything is going well for you. It's good to see you on here. If you're in town one day, one of these days, let me know. It would be great to see you.
Is that Walt Kane from our former stomping?
Oh, it might be. The Walt Kane is on. Oh my God, we are attracting. Then if that's the case, be careful. Make sure, keep an eye out for the name Liz Windsor. Okay. Because the Queen, she tends to lurk on Facebook. She stalks me continuously. So she goes by her name, that secret name, Liz Windsor.
Okay.
So if you get a friend request from if you with that name, block her.
Oh, blocker.
Oh, she can be very annoying.
Oh, all right.
Anyhow, we are going to look ahead.
And Varga says it's not Friday. Oh no.
Oh, by the way, there is one point I want to make. Because I had I did one of my weather posts this morning for Long Island's weather going forward, and someone commented by suggesting that perhaps the weather that we've been having here, the fact that it's been so, been very, very, for Long Island especially, cool and damp, that this is possibly being, orchestrated by some sort of man-made thing that's going on. And I just want to respond to that just very clearly and very succinctly. I have lived on Long Island for 31 years. I have gone through 31 springs. Okay, every spring is like this. It is a miserable time of year, and if someone is actually orchestrating it, I'll be the first person to throw $10 into the pot to make him orchestrate something else. All right, it's just nonsense. This is just how it is. It's like this every year. Every year, everybody seems to think it's different. It's not. It's a miserable time of year, and I've had my say, and that's all there is to it.
Problem is that a lot of people have short-term memories, and and I saw something recently where somebody said something to the effect like, we've had an active hurricane season every year for as long as he could remember. And I seem to remember, Joe, and I don't have the exact year off the top of my head, but wasn't there a year like 3 or 4 years ago where hurricanes activity was actually below normal?
Yeah, and it does happen. The normal numbers are actually been changed and adjusted higher because they did back and did some math and realized that there were some storms back 20, 30, 40 years ago that weren't classified as tropical storms and now are classified as tropical storms.
Right.
So, yeah, we've had some below average years. I think there have been more above average years than below.
Right.
But that compensates for the periods when you go back into the 70s and early 80s where a lot of those years were below average. I always ask the question when I go to my library talks and we talk about wintertime, when I ask the question about did it snow more when you were younger than it has in the last 18 years, and almost every time, at least 90 to 95% of the people will say that it snowed more when they were younger, when the truth is it's actually snowed double in the last 18 years on Long Island anyway than it has in the prior 30. So, again, it's perception, but trust me, springs are horrible times. It's a horrible time of year. Most years.
But it looks like this coming Saturday, Friday too, but Saturday, if you've been waiting and yearning to go to Robert Moses, if you live on Long Island, or Jones Beach,
bring a jacket.
Well,
there might not be a sea breeze for a while there, but it'll kick in.
It will kick in, but still, it's as we start off the day and move into at least the early part of the afternoon, I think temperatures even on Long Island will probably make it into the 80s before the sea breeze kicks everything
no
down.
question.
Yeah.
Let's jump to the tropics, Joe, because the Hurricane Center, I just saw there, the updated outlook. They've been talking about this area of disturbed weather in the Northwest Caribbean. It's kind of hard to see because the visible now has gone to its nighttime image and to the infrared. But the clouds you certainly can see south of Florida. And it's a disorganized mess at the moment, but they've actually raised the possibility of this becoming a tropical cyclone in the next 5 days to 50% from 40%. I think the whether it does or it doesn't, I don't think it's that important because I do not believe that even if it were to do that, it's going to become anything of significance in terms of wind. But it is going to be a big rain producer.
Yes.
This could potentially be a producer of torrential rains over the next week to 10 days across much of the South, Florida, back maybe to the central Gulf, and maybe even a little further west than that. My question is, how far north does some of that moisture get? Does some of it get involved and somehow get up here maybe for Monday? I think that's a legitimate question.
Even perhaps Sunday.
Or maybe even for Sunday.
Yeah.
Why don't we...
The interesting thing I've always said is that the fact that if it manages to get a name, then all of a sudden it vaults to near the top story nationally. And if it doesn't get a name, it's just a big old rainstorm that dumps a lot of rain, but is lower down in the. It's amazing how when a cyclone, when a storm system gets or acquires a name, that all of a sudden everybody drops everything. Says, "Oh my God!"
I know.
But
I'm trying to get a window up. Keep talking.
But it's it's interesting that we have something like this, or we're discussing something like this early in the season. But of course, the first day of the hurricane or tropical storm season is June the 1st. That's what late
next week.
Late next week, next Friday, a week from Friday.
Correct.
So here we go.
So it May storms. There aren't many of them. Actually, there have only been 4, I believe, that have come out of the Gulf of Mexico during the month of May.
People say, "Oh my goodness, it's starting already. This is going to be a bad season." But you know what? I have been watching as long as you have. I've been watching the weather, and it always seems to me like whenever we get off to an early start with this, that we get maybe something in late May or early June. And then all of a sudden, the next one isn't until like late in August.
Well, last year we had a fairly active start. We did get one in May last year, and what happened was after I don't remember if we had one in June, but then it got really quiet until the middle of August, and then it was like a bowling alley after that, with Irma and Maria and Jose and Maria. Irma, Maria, Jose? I got it all.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to bring up the surface map here. Just give me 1 second,
and
we'll put it on the paint box.
But that's when in a conversation I had many years ago with Neil Frank, who was then the director of the Hurricane Center, he always used to say June and July are what he called slack months.
Right. It's really August into early October.
Right.
All right, so here's the surface map. This is actually for Saturday morning, 2 a.m. And, the area of interest is this area here in the Northwest Caribbean, where you see that low center. I'm going to put a big circle around it. So this is where we're going to probably see some kind of development. You notice, Joe, that a lot of the rain that the GFS is indicating. Whoops, let me get the flat brush. Okay, so a lot of the rain that the GFS has indicated, if you want to kind of structure this, it's all on the east side. Right. So it's not exactly screaming tropical storm here, but it does, from the standpoint of wind, but it does have, we'll probably have a ton of moisture to deal with, and a lot of this stuff's got no place to go. It's going to wind up going, northward or northwestward over Florida and into the southeast. I'm wondering, there's going to be an upper trough. Let me do it in a different color so we can all see it better. There's going to be an upper trough down in the Gulf of Mexico, and you got to wonder, depending on what some of the models do, again, does that moisture shoot up northward, or does this kind of get underneath the upper low and just stay there for days and days? Yeah. A lot of questions here.
And the question for us, will we have any kind of an upper level northwesterly flow that may actually serve to block this off? It may make it, let's say, up to the Carolinas or the Virginias, and as it approaches the northeastern states, this upper level or prevailing upper level wind flow will kind of block it off and kind of force everything or keep everything to our south.
Well, here's just as we'll put it, we'll order it there. So here is, I'll bring up the upper air for Sunday, and now we're going to have two different views on this, but here's the upper air for Sunday, and your tropical system is down here. Let me make sure everybody is seeing it. Okay, good. Here's your tropical system, probably somewhere in here, and you've got your nice little northern jet with a west-northwest wind. Here's your flow around the upper low that's coming into the southeast. We're kind of on the edge of it right there.
Right.
So the question is, I guess, is this going to be enough to hold that moisture back? Is there going to be something up here near the Great Lakes, like a weak system that comes down and maybe gives it a little bit of an extra push to bring the rains up? I think the rains are probably going to make it up to at least maybe southern Virginia.
Right.
But does it wind up getting further north than that? I think that's a question we're going to have to work out, and we may not know the answer to that for a couple of days.
And right now, I think you'll agree with me that from the standpoint of Saturday, Sunday, Monday as the 3-day holiday weekend, that Saturday most definitely will be the best of the 3 days. Sunday, and yesterday I was saying that it was a progressive thing where Sunday we'd start seeing some showers and we'd probably have the best shot maybe on Monday, but you were pointing out that because of the uncertainties that Monday may not be all that bad, and I'm beginning to think along those lines.
Well, now on the other hand, I'm just pulling up the new GFS, and by the way, it doesn't mean this is right, but the GFS wants to bring this up into the Appalachians, and then you've got the flow like this, and your northern jet is further north. So this, to me, would argue that maybe the rain does get wrong color, but maybe the rain does make it here. But that's that model. Let me show you the European, because the European's different.
Right. As it always is.
As is always, exactly. See, the European for Monday is different, Joe. It's got, I think, a chance for maybe a bit better outcome, and.
Well, first of all, you could see that the ridge, the high-pressure ridge that's off the southeast coastline, is noticeably it's further to the west,
right,
and looks a little stronger on the European. And I mentioned yesterday that actually might take some of that moisture and shove it far enough west so that it actually ends up going up through the Ohio Valley and the Great Lakes, and stays to our west.
Here's the jet on the European is much further south in the north.
Right.
The upper low with the tropical system actually, I'll show it on the surface map, it actually stalls it out along the Louisiana coast. Here, I would think you could argue that the rain makes it to southern Virginia and not much further north than that, because that northern jet on the European is much stronger.
Right.
So, there's room here. I think that we can still, leave the door open. That it's not going to exactly be a washout, but we're far from anything conclusive at this point.
Yeah, and I've been saying that Sunday and Monday. The thing about doing this, on television, people, when they see that 7-day come up and they see even the slightest hint of rain, I mean, we have these icons, and you put showers in there, and immediately everybody automatically thinks, oh no, it's going to be a washout, it's going to rain or whatever. And it's so difficult you have to verbally say, this does not look like a washout. Not that we're saying that it's not going to rain.
But you know what, Joe? It's always been my experience. It's happened to me so many times where I've tried to make it so clear when you say that you've got showers in the forecast, but it's not going to be a washout. Most of the day it won't be raining. There'll be long dry periods, and oftentimes most people, all they hear is the word showers, and they think that those showers start at 12:01 a.m. and last till 11:59 p.m. And no matter how many times you try to make it clear, it gets lost. Here's the new the surface map here for the next few days. No problems tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. High builds in. Okay, so we got that. Then we've got this kind of backdoorish cold front that's going to push southward. But the showers with that, I don't think get here until, maybe Saturday night. The model's trying to actually generate some showers and thunderstorms inland. And usually, a lot of times that doesn't wind up, being all that much until later on. So you get this front to push on through, and this is where it becomes questionable. Look where the GFS takes this developing low, the tropical low, across southern Florida, out off the east coast, and then brings it up. So you got this area of tropical moisture that shoots up for Monday into Monday night.
Yep.
Now, we don't have the Europeans map with the precip, but just to show you the difference, here's the European. If you want to follow what it does with the tropical low, it takes it almost straight up toward New Orleans and then just kind of leaves it there and drags it slowly northwest. By the way, that motion, and this actually is, for that part of the country, may be quite serious. This motion here, so this is Sunday, okay?
Right.
So that's Sunday morning, that's Monday morning, that's Tuesday morning, that's Wednesday morning.
Look at that.
That's Thursday morning. It's barely moved.
Right.
It's doing almost like a Harvey, where it just kind of sat there for 3 days.
Right.
So if there winds up being a tropical storm that goes like the European has it, this is again going to mean probably for some torrential rains across much of the Gulf states.
Right. And I have friends who are down in Florida, and the funny thing is they moved there some years ago. Thinking, oh, we're going to go to Florida. It's going to be wonderful, and they have learned that when they get into the month of May and beyond, not only does the humidity come up way above what they were anticipating, but also you get into these patterns, and it's not unusual. It seems like it's not unusual anymore to hear about, let's say, Jacksonville getting like a half a foot of rain.
I mean, well, they had 8, 9, 10 inches of rain over parts of South Florida over the weekend and late last week.
These are the things you have to consider if you're planning. They often say that Miami is the 6th borough. They figure, we're going to go to Miami. That's it. All of our troubles are over, or whatever. And they learn very quickly that that's not the paradise sometimes that they were anticipating.
Carol Gibbison Della Kia says, Joe and Joe, on and off rain in Hershey, PA, but I can't kvetch because my annual flowers are happy. Yous guys are the best. Thank you, and yous guys are the best too.
Thank you.
By the way, I brought up. Let me get you back in here. You're 3/4 up.
Well, that's because you're blocking me with the radar. There you go.
Not intentionally.
All right. Yes.
All right. So this is the radar right now. So just want to point out We've got some showers and even some thunderstorms moving across central Pennsylvania. I think those are going to fall apart.
Right.
They better fall apart because that's what I'm forecasting. We had some severe weather tonight, move over across parts of southern Virginia, southern Maryland. It's moving over the Delmarva Peninsula. That's moving out. Some of it has actually made its way into Delaware Bay. The rains from earlier are done, so all we got to do is just kind of get through the early morning hours with that dying area of showers to the west, and then we're done.
Yeah, I said maybe a couple of renegade showers in the lower Hudson Valley between now and about 4 in the morning. I'm just saying it to cover my you-know-what. And after 4 in the morning, I think we're pretty well done. And we're probably done already, but, you just want to cover yourself. And behind this front, high pressure builds in and brings us, we'll initially have a very warm day tomorrow, unseasonably warm, temperatures within a few degrees of 80. But then I think the thing that makes Thursday the standout day among the next 4 are the fact that the dew point temperatures are going to fall significantly down into the 40s, maybe even into the 30s. And when you got temperatures in the high 70s to near 80 and dew point temperatures of around 40, that is, that means you can't buy a cloud within 300 miles. The sky appears that atypical blue, which we don't often see during the spring and summertime. And it's going to be a perfect day. You step outside and say, "My God, why can't it be like this?"
We're getting all the stars tonight. Otis Livingston, who I worked with briefly when I worked at Channel 4. He's on tonight from WCBS TV.
Sometimes he's also on WFAN.
Yes,
he does the. I don't know if
we attract a classy crowd here.
It's amazing. I haven't had a chance of late, but I used to listen to him give the sports on FAN before he got in front of the camera at CBS 2.
Wow. So we don't want to leave out Addison Green, who is an up and coming star.
Addison who?
Yeah.
Sorry, Addison. I'm sorry.
Addison, you'll see Joe tomorrow when he walks in the door at 2 o'clock.
And you can punch me out then.
Right. We'll make sure we have all sharp objects put away.
He is the only person who, when I come in each afternoon, addresses me as Mr. Rayo. And
today it was La Rayo.
La Rayo,
right.
Yes.
Frank Lasalandra points out that in a later post, not the one I just looked at, but the one he's going to Milan in Italy.
Oh, wow.
And they've had a very cool and wet spring there. Yes, a lot of Western Europe did wind up not only with a cool, wet spring, but they had some places getting unusual amounts of snow. Whether that becomes the new normal there because of the collapsing Gulf Stream out in the North Atlantic is a topic for discussion that I think Joe and I will save for another day.
Right.
Okay, because that would take too long, and we'll just save it for another time.
Don't get us started on European weather. I mean, it was enough when we had the beast from the east.
That's correct. I've actually enjoyed really keeping an eye on things going on over in Europe. I did notice that I happened to look this morning, and it looked like the weather was fairly benign, pretty much across the continent.
Right.
But we'll see. We'll keep an eye. Hey, they got Ophelia last fall that went into Ireland and England.
That's right.
And the winter storms that they had, so it was certainly busy there. Okay, so we got 4 nice days. So let's leave it here at this point. You think? And
yeah.
We'll come back tomorrow. We'll see what the latest is on this tropical system. Again, whether it develops or not, the most important thing for the areas in Florida, the Southeast, and in the Gulf states, depending on how this tracks, is going to be the heavy rains that will result either way.
And as I said, it's Sunday and Monday. Again, depending upon the flow, who's going to be right, the European or the GFS? It could mean Monday could be a total washout, but if the European is right, we could have just a few,
Saturday's fine. That's
There's
a
no
definite.
problem.
Saturday's fine.
Absolutely no problem.
It'll be a beach day with a west wind for a while. I think even the beaches might see temperatures.
Again, the only thing that's wrong with this forecast coming up is that the 4 days that are upcoming
is off by 3 days.
Off by a few days. I mean, tomorrow should have been Friday. Saturday should be Thursday. That kind of thing. But we're still going to get Saturday, and Saturday is going to be, as you just pointed out and I pointed out, a perfect beach day. This is the day that everybody has been waiting for since, I guess, the Labor Day weekend last year.
I'll be fishing Saturday.
Yeah,
for sure.
You will.
All right, folks. So tune in at the top of the hour. FiOS 1 News Long Island and FiOS 1 News New Jersey for me.
And FiOS 1 Lower Hudson Valley for yours truly. Again, a beautiful day developing tomorrow, and just beyond that, I think it's going to be as one of my professors. I think he left after you had arrived at City College. Professor Richard Romer.
I remember
Professor Romer.
Yeah.
And he used to say, stretches like this, easy money weather. And for us, this is going to be an easy next 3 or 4 days. And when we consider what we went through in March alone, we deserve these next 4 days.
Absolutely. All right, folks, have a great evening. We will see you tomorrow, 9:15, on the Joe and Joe Weather Show.
Ta-da!
They got wind of it.